course, you all know what's going to happen. All the world knows what happens when, well, it's happened already. Once we let nature handle the industry more or less. But now this small fellow has become a great national industry. An industry stretching from Vancouver Island to Cape Breton. And in every Canadian province, day-old chicks go out from hatcheries to farms near and far. On the farm, preparations must be made for the reception of the new chicks days before they are expected to arrive. This is the simple 12 by 12 colony brooder house equipped with a wire-floored sun porch. Before a single bird can be placed in the brooder house, it is necessary to clean and disinfect everything thoroughly. Millions of chicks die every year because they pick up disease organisms, especially coccidiosis in the dirty brooder houses. Everything which can be removed is taken outside. All brooder equipment is first thoroughly scrubbed and then disinfected in a solution of water and a reliable disinfectant. All the small pieces of equipment are scrubbed and dipped into the solution of disinfectant for good measure. The hover itself is disinfected. The best equipment should be used, metal if possible, because metal can be easily cleaned. After the equipment, the house should be cleaned and disinfected so that no possible infection from previous broods can remain. The walls and roof are brushed down with a dry broom so as to remove any dust and cobwebs, all of which may harbor disease. Great care must be taken to clean thoroughly in all hard-to-get-at corners. Boiling water and lye is the most effective disinfectant for the floor. The coccidiosis organism is very hard to kill, so boiling water must be used since it is the heat that actually destroys the coccidia. After the lye and water treatment, the entire brooder house is sprayed with a solution of water and disinfectant to kill any disease germs that may be in the woodwork. One of the most common faults in raising chicks is crowding too many chicks in the brooder house. Overcrowding increases the dangers of cannibalism and disease. From hatching to 6 weeks, the chicks require 1/2 square foot of floor space each. At 6 weeks, the chicks have grown much larger and therefore require more space, or overcrowding will result. At 6 weeks, the brood must be split so as to allow twice the space per bird, or 1 square foot each. 1/2 square foot up to 6 weeks, 1 square foot after 6 weeks. Corner board should be used to prevent piling up and suffocation. A dim night light calms the chicks and helps to prevent crowding. A 10-watt electric lamp or lantern turned down is recommended. Now that the brooder house and its equipment have been cleaned and disinfected, the equipment can be set up and be ready for the new chicks. A metal tray filled with sand is placed under the brooder stove and is necessary to prevent fire. The brooder is ready to go, but fire is a constant hazard, and one little flame, such as this, can develop into this and lead to this. The brooder itself may be one of several types. The coal burner, which is most common but must be watched carefully to prevent its burning out at night. The oil burner, which gives a steady, dependable heat. The electric brooder is very reliable, providing there is no danger of a power failure. Newspapers, several layers thick, are laid over the litter for the first week or 10 days. Young chicks often eat the litter, gorge themselves, and die of impacted gizzards. The use of newspapers also makes it easy to keep the floors clean. And when a piece of newspaper is noticeably soiled, take it away and all's well again. We have obeyed the rules of sanitation, fire prevention, and avoided the danger of chicks eating litter. But there are two remaining chick problems ahead. They are overheating and chilling and disease control. The brooder stove must be lighted at least 48 hours before the chicks arrive so that the house will be dried out and the temperature adjusted. (95°F, 2 inches above the floor at the hover edge is held for the first week and gradually lowered 5 degrees each week thereafter. 70 degrees at the outside wall is recommended. The area outside the hover should be relatively cool. All equipment should be tested before being used. See that the thermometers read correctly and check against each other. Check the thermostats in warm water to make sure that they expand properly. Observation is more important than thermometers. When the brooder is too cold, the chicks crowd under the hover. When the brooder is too hot, the chicks crowd away from the source of heat. The careful poultryman checks the brooder at least 4 times during the day and at least once at night. And now for the last problem, the problem of disease control. By the end of the first week, the chicks will have used up the newspapers and they are replaced by litter. This is peat moss, but shavings or straw may also be used. The one really important point is that it must be kept bone dry. The coccidiosis organism lies dormant for a long time. These organisms thrive in a dirty, damp environment. Moist spot often causes an outbreak of coccidiosis. Dry litter must be maintained. The latest treatment recommended is the use of certain new types of sulfa drugs. Sodium sulfamerazine is one of the most effective and is mixed in the drinking water or feed. We have dealt with the 4 main causes of chick losses: overcrowding, disease, overheating and chilling, and eating litter. The farmer who has taken the precautions we have been talking about knows when his chicks are delivered that they have a good chance to thrive. The chicks are placed under the hover and are kept from wandering away and getting chilled by placing a strip of net wire around the hover. These are crossbred chicks, preferred by many because of their hybrid vigor and disease resistance. The chicks are now established in a new home. Water should be available to the chicks from the moment they arrive. Keep the water close to the hover so that it will not get chilled. Never fill the waterers with cold water, as this often causes diarrhea and digestive disturbances. Allow 1 water fountain for every 75 chicks. To start chicks eating, scatter chick starter on the papers for the first few days until they learn to eat from the hoppers. Now we come to the feed requirements of the baby chicks. Once nature took care of feeding the chicks and balanced the diet in her own way. But now the chick depends on us to supply it with the food materials required for health and growth. And we can't do any better than put the chick on the right track with Shur-Gain Chick Starter. These big, strong birds obtain their proteins, minerals, and vitamins through the chick starter, which is fortified with meat meal, fish oils, cereal grass, milk powder, and riboflavin. Shur-Gain feeds are the highest possible quality known to science. Nutrient levels in Shur-Gain feeds are based on the recommendations of the United States National Research Council. Across Canada, from coast to coast, laboratories are constantly controlling the quality of Shur-Gain feeds and striving to make them better. Not only is Shur-Gain Chick Starter the highest quality science can produce, but it is the lowest in cost for this high quality. This brings us to the Shur-Gain Feed Service Mill, where Shur-Gain feeds are manufactured under the direct supervision of Shur-Gain inspectors. To save the farmer money, the local Shur-Gain Feed Service Mill manufactures balanced feeds and sells them direct to the farmer. Grain is sold to the mill, and the farmer buys Shur-Gain Chick Starter, which, because of this system of local manufacture, is always fresh. Before Shur-Gain Feed Service, grain was sold to the elevator. The grain broker bought from the elevator. The feed manufacturer bought through the grain broker. The dealer bought from the feed manufacturer. And then the farmer bought from the dealer. Have you been watching that money bag in the center? There's a lot of handling to that feed, and handling costs money, which comes out of your pocket. By the Shur-Gain Feed Service Plan, you deal direct with the manufacturer. Grain is sold to the feed service mill, and the farmer buys balanced Shur-Gain feeds. There is no middleman and no unnecessary hauling and handling. Therefore, Shur-Gain feeds cost you less. And that's how these little fellows got their start in life. Shur-Gain Chick Starter is kept before them at all times. At 6 weeks, scratch grain is fed in separate hoppers. Begin with 5% scratch and gradually increase until at 8 weeks the chicks get 20% scratch and 80% chick starter. And by the way, watch out for overcrowding at the table. Reckon on 6 feet of double feeder space for every 100 chicks. When your birds get to 7 or 8 weeks, they are moved out to range shelters and changed over from the chick starter to Shur-Gain growing mash. Put them on that with whole grain mixture fed in separate hoppers, and your trouble should be pretty well at an end. Well, that's the story of how you look after little chicks when they are brought up under artificial conditions. You keep them warm and you keep them clean, and you bring the green grass and sunlight to them in a scientifically balanced ration. And that's the Shur-Gain story, too. It is the story about feed service in which balanced feeds are manufactured locally to give the unbeatable combination of highest quality at lowest cost.